Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us. I'm Julie Hornock and you're on the United in Autism site. I am so excited that hopefully the book will be coming out October 2nd. So if you would like to get some information on the book as it comes out, I'm going to put together a newsletter and maybe do a little blogging. So you can see the little thing that says sign up. And if you want to sign up for that, you can totally just click the little button and it'll take you to my newsletter. And so I see that Vonda is on and we're going to try and make this work today. Sorry, you have to see my finger come up because I'm adding her to it. We will add her on. It will be very exciting because we've tried this many, many times.
It worked!
I mean, I hate to get as excited, but yay.
It's an autistic miracle.
Yes, we have worked so hard. So the funniest thing about Vonda that no one else knows except for the two of us, we actually went to college together. And the funny thing about that is we did not like each other in college. And so
I think it was just a circumstance. It was a circumstance. It wasn't that, because we're both obviously amazing people.
That's what I was too. And I can't believe we weren't friends, but it was just one of those things where but I think what's cool about autism and what this book is all about is bringing people together. And I'm on this journey, with people from all race, all religion, all parts of the world. And I have so much in common with them. And I thought it was even cool that, okay, here's someone that we weren't friends and we really didn't, we were kind of nasty to each other a little bit, in college. And I know I was, and I'm sorry for that. But we're now
okay, we'll just say it was Julie's fault then. So we're good. Let's keep going.
We'll blame technology problems and that on me. But the cool thing is now we're walking this journey together and we have a ton in common.
Right.
And I love that. So anyway, I just wanted to give that history. So you tell us where you live and tell us about your family.
Okay, well, I'm actually in the suburbs of Kansas City, Missouri, not Kansas. There are two different states. For those of you watching all over. And I'm in a little town called Liberty. So, and what else did you want to know? Sorry.
So then they don't know yet, but you have two children on the spectrum. So go ahead and give just a little bit about both of your boys.
Okay, well, they're two teenage boys. So if you want to throw out a few prayers, that would be incredible. We'd be very thankful for that.
Puberty and autism is really, really fun. Just everybody loves puberty and autism.
I think that you go through different seasons when you have kids with autism. It's really, it's a mourning process, just very similar to maybe a death of someone that you loved or the end of a relationship. There is a mourning process. And so, yeah, we've been through all that, and it kind of fluctuates. And there are some really great times, there are some really challenging times, but the boys are amazing, and they've actually come a lot farther than we ever thought they would. So everything now is just continuing to help them to grow and expand their horizons and think about employment and their real lives and what it'll look like for them as adults, because they're on that precipice of being adults. This summer they'll be 16 and 17 years old.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So
it's funny. It's crazy. I'm only 30, and
Yeah, me too. Also 30.
Right.
So we have that in common. Remember. So tell me a little bit about Austin.
Okay. So Austin is our now 16-year-old, and we've done something kind of unconventional that I don't think a lot of families do. Something that is unfortunately very typical is to have a divorce when you have multiple kids with autism, or even one very challenging one. So we did have that happen in our family. And Austin actually lives just across town with my ex-husband and his new wife.
Yeah.
And he's doing really well with them. They have two little half siblings. We don't have half, so we're just all one big crazy whole family. But Austin's doing really well. He's a great big brother. Man, he's just come light years. He used to have a timeout room with his name on it, quite literally. And so he's come so far, and now I think he's enjoys being a leader at home and in the classroom. And I can honestly say I now enjoy being with Austin. That wasn't always so, because he was a very challenging young man. and
Yeah.
he's blossoming, and that behavior, he's doing so well. So we're really
What
proud
did
of
you
him.
help that behavior? What did you feel like worked for you?
For behavior,
Yeah, to help his behavior.
yes.
What?
He had, the ABA kind of intervention. I think one of the best things we ever did was and this is a shameless plug, but Liberty Public Schools was one of the best choices we ever made to raise our children in that school district, and they have done wonders. Also, I think parents and professionals need to know that follow through is really important. That
Mm-hmm.
what you set up in that IEP and what you set up in that home, that all of those things are followed, and it's just a continual cycle through home and through school, and that everyone supports them and has the same expectations in every environment for them. So they're not
Yeah.
getting mixed messages. And the last thing, I am not going to lie, meds, honey. Medication Medication
Yeah.
for Austin was
Yeah.
an absolute must to just kind of to
Yeah.
chemically balance him and allow him to have the brain that he deserved to have, that function, because we tried everything organic and
Mm.
holistic, and we tried every single approach before we tried meds. He was not put on one medication until he was 10 years old. So we did try, 9 years
Yeah.
of interventions.
Well, and I think that's so important because we also try and do everything naturally. And
Right.
my youngest, his anxiety was so high. There's a point when you just have to let them, like you said, be the best versions of himself in that way. And his brain wasn't. There was no way to do it otherwise. I
Right.
couldn't figure it out.
Because if
We
there would
needed
have
it now.
been, we would have done it,
Yeah.
and we tried
Yeah.
everything. So, yeah.
So the boys aren't that far apart. They're like a year-ish apart, year and a half apart.
I don't even want to talk about that. Oh, God. You know the term Irish twins? Their last name,
Oh,
their last name is
yeah.
even Murphy. So they truly are Irish twins. One was in June and one was born in July, 1 year apart. So,
Wow. Yeah,
yeah.
that's really close. Okay,
Yeah.
so when you started, tell me a little bit like when you started realizing, okay, my younger son Adam has autism too, maybe. Like when you started seeing signs, like tell me kind of as a mom the emotions of
Oh,
what
gosh.
that feels like.
That was one, and people that are watching or that know me really well, you know that I'm pretty honest and open, and that was one of the hardest realizations, is to say, okay, I've got one with pretty severe autism at this point, who is 2 years old, and I have a 1 year old who's not walking and not talking and not making much eye contact, and that dread, that feeling of here we go again. This has got to be what this is. And I think
Mm-hmm.
I was the first one who actually probably said out loud, "We have two little boys with autism." And
Mm.
I think there was a lot of denial for other people. I think I was upset. I was angry. I remember calling my mom and saying, "This is so unfair," because I've always wanted to be a parent. I had the
Mm.
baby dolls that I played with, and I was a good mama to those baby dolls, and I knew I was going to be a great mom. I'm the kid that started babysitting at 10 and 11 years old. I was a nanny. I was a camp counselor. I was an RA at college in the dorms. I've always been a mom. And then I thought, God, this is so unfair that not only do
Mm.
you give me one that's a super big challenge, now I have a second one that's a year younger, that's even advancing even slower than my first one. And I was
Yeah.
angry, and I cried, and I quit going to church, and all those things. So
Yeah, I can
that's that's
only
a
imagine.
that's a down and dirty. That's a serious, honest truth.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you sharing that just with openness because I think it's important because in the book even there's probably three or four parents that have two, and as hard as one is going through that a second time, I can't even imagine. But the parents that do that, they need to know they're not alone.
Yeah.
And also, like you said, the grieving process, they need to know that it's okay to be angry and to
Yes,
allow yourself to go through that because if not, you're not going to come out the other side. And
absolutely.
so tell me a little bit about how the boys are different. So soon
Um,
they started.
You know, you know, chocolate ice cream, vanilla ice cream. That's how different my boys are. They're both ice cream, but in every other way, they're completely
Yeah.
different. Like, for example, Austin has olive skin and dark hair, and he speaks. Now, it's mostly echolalic, but he speaks and can formulate his thoughts and communicate those in that way. He is a go-getter. He is energetic. He's kind
Mhm.
of the Energizer Bunny, and his way or the highway. Here's
Yeah.
Adam on the other side. Adam's my sweet, cuddly teddy bear. He is nonverbal, except for yes, no. I, that's about it. That's what we
Yeah.
get from him. Um, and gosh, he'll do anything. He'll go anywhere at any time, and he
Mhm.
doesn't mind if it's close or far away. He's cool, and so they're just and his he is even keeled. He's also sloth mode. He's pretty slow. So
Yeah.
where Austin's that Energizer bunny, Adam's totally chill and just kind of hangs out, and so any way
Mhm.
that you could possibly think they're complete opposites.
So one of the things that I have enjoyed watching on Facebook through for you is that you realized at some point Adam could communicate his thoughts through typing. And so tell me like how old he was when you realized this
Okay.
and kind of what that process was, because I think a lot of parents think their kid is, I mean, they are nonverbal, but they're not. You said this one other time that not they're communicative, where they can communicate in a different way. And so I'm just curious
Right.
how you figure all that out.
So one of my most favorite sayings is that nonverbal does not equate with non-thinking.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what
Yeah.
I was trying to.
You can steal it. It's okay. I don't mind. You can steal
I
that.
need to write that down.
Nonverbal doesn't mean non-thinking. Um,
Yes.
I think we all know what we want. It's just how do we get that out? How do we tell people what we need and how to get our needs met? And one of the most fascinating things that we discovered is that Adam could actually read. We weren't, because he couldn't give us anything verbally, we weren't sure he could
Wow.
read. And so we
Yeah.
discovered that, and I think it was third or fourth grade we discovered he was actually reading, and at quite a good pace and a good level. And I was about threw a party over that one. That was really
Yeah.
exciting for me. Um,
Yeah.
so we started asking things in different ways of him.
Hmm.
Instead of the standardized testing and things, they would think of ways to um, put maybe the story, have him put the story back in order with sentence strips because he could read. Put these in order of
Mhm.
how they happened in the story. That's how they would test him. See, this school district is brilliant, and we had to carry that through home as well. Um, so, anyhow, what we had for years was this goal of counting money, right? We
Okay.
always seem to have
Yeah.
the same goals of tying shoes, counting money, being socially acceptable, yada, yada, yada. So Adam had this goal forever of counting money. And I said, so how's he doing? This is during an IEP meeting.
Mhm.
And I said, how's he doing at this goal? And they're like, well, he can count one, two, three, and slide things away from him, right? But we don't think he'll ever really understand what money is or what it's used for, or how much he should be getting back, and why he would be getting
Huh.
anything back. And I said, then why is it a goal? Why is it a
Exactly.
goal? Because if life is about living and socially getting along and communicating with people, why don't we put a goal in that makes sense socially? So that's when
Smart.
we started with the here's my thought. And I just asked, I'll say the ladies, because, you know, in his educational world, it was all women around the table. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so shout out to the guys in education. Thank you for being in there,
Yeah.
gentlemen. Anywho, so we're sitting around the table, and I said, you know, I really think we should begin with emailing. We can begin easily with emailing. If we know he can read, then we know he's really processing and thinking. And if we know that, then all we have to do is maybe start with some prompts, some little cards with, here are some things you could say on email to mom, right? And then we started adding in Paul, which is stepdad that we've brought into his life. So he is now emailing both of us, which is so sweet. And they've gotten better and better. And people on Facebook were so excited to be following his emails and the progression, right? You may have seen it from just
Oh, I've
hi,
seen it.
Hi, I'm a puzzler was one of the first ones. Hi, I puzzler. I took
Oh,
that to mean, hello, I'm working on puzzles today and doing a good job. Hi, I puzzler, which was so cute. And now we're getting
yeah.
full like paragraphs. And so our plan is to move from emailing to texting and then for him to have a social media outlet.
Wow. I mean, so as a mom, how old was he when this happened? Like
Oh,
14 or
when we dumped the unobtainable money goal and went to something that
yeah,
made sense,
yeah, yeah.
gosh, I think he was probably in seventh or eighth grade.
So all this
14,
time
15.
you've gone not being able to communicate with your child, where you're trying to get something out of him. You don't think he's in there, but you don't know if you're ever gonna. So then, what does it feel like to all of a sudden he's always been there and he has all these
Mm.
feelings, and now he can tell you something. What's that like? It's
I,
just amazing.
sometimes I giggle when I get
Mhm.
these emails because they're funny, because this kid has a
Yeah,
great sense of humor. Uh,
yeah.
sometimes I will cry because he'll say something that we were unsure was in there. And sometimes I'm just like, of course you like this. I know you like this. No problem. We can have pizza again for dinner, you know. But and the thing about Adam is that, and I want this to be real clear, I don't think people that are nonverbal have that much trouble maybe communicating. I think we normies, right? Are we typical, whatever that is, typical people,
Yeah.
we're not listening.
Uh,
We're not
I think that
truly listening.
because I think that everything they're doing with their body is communicating.
Thank
So every
you.
nonverbal, they can't read nonverbal, but they're doing it, showing us. And we did programming with my daughter as well, where I took everything she was doing as communication. And when you start thinking like that, you really get to understand and know your child. And I think it's amazing the difference it can make in being able to anticipate need and then to help them out.
Well, and
So
when you have a nonverbal child with a disability, it doesn't have to be autism, but anyone who's nonverbal, child or adult, you have to be about 12 steps ahead in anticipation.
yeah.
Just like, okay, it's 11:15 and he's already had this to eat in the last couple days, so I'm going to try to push these other choices. That means I need to start boiling this, cooking this, maybe putting some things out for him to choose from. You just have to steps ahead. We want to go to a concert. My husband and I want to go on a date or whatever. I have to plan 2, 3 weeks ahead. You can't just snatch up a babysitter like that. We have
Oh,
we have some seriously well-trained personal care attendants, and I have to make sure that somebody is going to be available. And if
mhm.
not, there's a lot of times, where you can't go. And there's a lot of times, I'm not going to lie, we used Adam and said, "Oh gosh, can't find a sitter." Didn't want to go, so we didn't find a sitter.
That's so, yeah. Because I've always said, like, my head is fuller, and especially in the younger years for Lizzie, I had to think so much more to do anything, and we had to make a social story for it, or we had, and it
Yes,
was just much more than what I ever had to do with my first child, which was nothing except get in the car.
I think you're
And
locked
he'd
up
want to
there.
know where you were going, but it was a meltdown because we were going.
There it is.
Okay,
I think
is
you're
it
back.
okay? Am I back?
And it's stuck. We're both like, like Mr. Roboto.
So you mentioned that you are remarried, and I cannot fathom. It's just wonderful. And first of all, to find a man that would come into the life with two kids with autism, and second of all, I having two kids with autism, and then finding time to date and meet someone. I want to hear the whole thing. Like, I want to hear
Oh,
how you
yeah, that's easy.
and you know it's just
Okay.
amazing. So many single moms out there right now, and I just want them to know there's hope to meet someone. If you want to meet someone,
Yeah.
not everybody does. You do. There are men out there that are amazing,
Hmm.
and you found one, so I would love to hear about it.
So actually some of the best advice I could ever give, you can hear Adam in the background. He's going, ooh, ooh. Hi, Adam.
It's a friendly place. We all have those noises, so we know.
Oh, yeah. And if you have typical kids, you have noises. So, we're all just going to deal with it together today.
That's right.
Now, my best advice to anyone actually who's single and starting over again is get out there and find something you love and do
Mm,
that self-care, something that really feeds you and feeds your soul. And for some people that's going to be uh, going out and watching sports, or you're going to start running, or I don't run. If I'm running, you better run because something big's chasing me. Um, no, but for me and Julie, it's singing. It's always
mhm.
been singing. And I thought, I'm going to make it a point to try to get out a couple times a month and do some karaoke because I love it. I enjoy it so much. And I thought, um, you know, maybe I'll make some friends or whatever. I actually wasn't thinking, I had given up. I'd done some online dating. Do not online date. Once again, do not online date. I'm sorry, Match.com, plenty of fish and all you fine folks out there, but that was very scary because you're bringing in almost complete strangers,
Mhm.
children with really severe needs. And the statistic is if you bring somebody into your home as a single woman, it's 31% higher chance that they will be um, abused in some way if you bring
Well, and our kids are
people.
so vulnerable, so
So I'm
vulnerable.
thinking it's
It's
like
hard to
73% for our kids, nonverbal kids with autism, to get abused,
mm,
right? So I was
yeah,
not wanting to willy-nilly bring all these people into my life and into my home that I didn't know. So I decided to
yeah.
get out and do something I loved. And I
Mhm.
walk into this place that had karaoke, and I see this guy up there, uh, really kind of a I don't want to say dorky because Paul's awesome, but just a really normal white guy singing Prince's Kiss. You don't have to be right. And I said, I have to meet this person because it was just hilarious. And I've shared also another love of mine is doing comedy. So, but he was funny, and the song was great, and he could sing, and so we just hung out. So that's how we met. So I would say if you want to meet someone, any of you at any time, do something you love. Habitat for Humanity, volunteering at a soup kitchen, go into church, some
Yeah,
sort of, yoga, whatever. Mine was singing, and found somebody who loves to sing, and you already have
awesome.
something in
Yeah,
common.
I love that. I mean, it's just he must be an amazing man to just treat your kids as his own and love them, and I love that too.
Well, and it's not
So,
all rainbows and unicorns and, marshmallow fluff all the time. It's work just like any other marriage. But to
right.
have someone come into our lives who had never been married and had
Mm.
no children, and to say, I will learn about this autism thing and come into their lives and try my best because I love you. I'm going to learn this and I'm going to love them for who they are. And
Oh, that,
yeah,
I
that's
mean, that's
awesome.
fantastic. So, ladies, men, single people that have kids with autism, there's hope for you. She is living proof, and I
Oh, the
just,
single ladies. Sing it, girls.
yeah.
All the single ladies.
All right. So at the end of every interview, I like to ask 10 quick questions. So don't think about the answer, just answer.
Oh,
Just to
gosh.
get just for
Okay.
fun, to know a little bit more about you, okay?
Okay.
All right. Books or movies?
Books.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee. Yeah.
Doesn't have anything to do with autism, it's just for fun. If you're one. Favorite sport?
Can I say musicals because they are dancing and moving?
There's a lot of competition too, so I think that works. Dream vacation?
Oh, gosh. Italy?
All right. Would you rather endure an hour of stimming or an hour of a meltdown?
Oh, an hour of stemming. Absolutely. And people that don't know, stemming for my kids is humming, flapping, turning in circles, things like that. A meltdown is where you're thinking, I'm going to give this child away like a box of puppies in front of Walmart for free. So I would say go with stemming.
Okay, all right. The last thing you spent a lot of money on.
Oh, everybody that knows me knows I'm a thrift store shopper. And
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of money, I don't know. I don't spend a lot of money. The next thing I will be spending a lot of money on is a new car.
Okay, all
That's what
right,
I have.
there you go. Outside of your family, who's the person you admire most?
Outside of my family.
I know, that makes it hard.
Sure.
See?
There's
Have you
so
had a mentor
well,
or?
there are so many. There are so many. Somebody that because I would say I'd name off my family members and why. Somebody who was very instrumental for me, and if she ever sees this, she's gonna freak out. But Karen Jones was a special ed teacher, and
Mhm,
I had the privilege of being a music therapist inside of her classroom for her students,
mhm,
and had real tiny kids at that time. And I said, Karen, I think my son might have autism. And she
mm.
was the first person who said, okay, why don't we sit down after school today and talk? She spent a ton of time with me. She handed me a folder and led
Wow.
me down the path of how to connect in Kansas City to what my children needed, or child at that time, just Austin. So Karen Jones, she meant the world to me and still does. And she's done some wonderful things for all of Kansas City and in the Boy Scouts for special needs. And also, what was the other thing she does? Special Olympics and swimming, special needs swimming. So
I
everybody knows
love
her
that.
name.
Yeah. There's something about whenever people help us when we're in crisis that we just never forget, and
It's
when,
so true.
yeah, when someone helps you in the middle of something, you're never going to forget it. All right. A little lighter, favorite ice cream.
Can I say all of them? No. How about chocolate chip cookie dough?
Ah, yum. Favorite family tradition.
I am just going to say all of Christmas. And a new tradition for us is the Winterfest at Worlds of Fun because Mama sings there. So,
Oh, yay. Congratulations.
oh, it's fun. It's amazing.
What therapy has made the most difference?
Oh, I'm going to do a little spin on this.
Okay.
Okay, no
I'm
therapy.
open.
No therapy works unless you put it into their lives. So you might learn something therapeutic from an OT, a PT, a speech path, but until you generalize that into their life and you help them understand that and use that in a normal way. So basically, my thought is you can over therapy your children.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have to stop and take them out of a traditional therapy. Take them swimming. Take them to ride a horse. Go on some walks. You're using the same kind of interventions. You're using the
Mm-hmm.
same muscle groups and you're using the same interaction, words, eye contact, but you're generalizing it into a real world that they're going to be living in. So don't over therapy your kids.
I agree with that so much. Bring them out into the world that you want them to
Yes,
be
right.
in. And well, thank you so much for you. This was packed with fantastic advice. I feel like I need a little ticker line right now, all the advice. And for everyone else, I can't wait for you to read Vonda's story. I'm not going to share the actual story she shared with me because it seriously is so dramatic and it's like in a movie of things that have happened to her. And so I just loved the story about her. I'm not gonna say what, but it's really, really good because she's led a interesting life. So hopefully you'll join in when the book comes out. And Vonda, I'd love to have you back because what I'd like to do afterwards is after the book in maybe a year or so, we're gonna do a what's happening now kind of thing. So
Oh,
anyway,
good.
but thank you again. You're wonderful. I respect
Oh,
you so much. I'm so glad that autism brought us together. So
thank you. And virtual hugs to you. All is forgiven. Don't worry about when we were little
oh,
girls.
please forgive me for being a little nasty when I was a college student. All right. Well,
All
we'll
right.
talk to you soon. Thank
All
you
right.
again so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.